Very good morning to you, our viewer, listener, and follower. Welcome to our 11th edition of the Citizen Baraza. Today we have a very burning topic. How do you secure your environment amid terror threats? On the 23rd of October, a blast went off at a pork joint in Komamboga in Kawempe Division, killing one Emily Milaneza and injuring several others. 2 days later, a Shane-bound bus had an explosion around Lungula in Mpigi Town Council. One person died and another senior ranking police officer was injured. 4 days later, on the 29th of October, 3 children died in Semuto, Nakaseke, while playing with a grenade. And this week, on the 16th of November, we had 2 blasts in the city, one at Central Police Station and another at Parliamentary Avenue, leaving several people dead. So far, 7 people have died from those blasts. The 3 attackers were killed. 3 people, including 2 police officers, died, and 1 person succumbed to injuries yesterday from Mrago Hospital. So far, 13 people remain admitted at Mrago Hospital nursing injuries. So we want to know, how do we protect ourselves amidst these threats? And with us this morning is the Deputy Spokesperson of Police in the Kampala Metropolitan Area, Assistant Superintendent of Police Luke Owoyesigire. Afande Luke, you're most welcome to this baraza.
Thank you very much, and good morning, viewers.
Yeah, so Luke, we want to know, are we safe? Because there are threats here and there. There have been a few blasts, and there is also, of course, so much fake news. We've heard about so many threats here and there that actually have not happened, but fake news. But we want to know, what is police and your sister agencies, security agencies, doing to protect people, especially in crowded places like Chikubo, like the bus parker, like the taxi parker, even inside the public means of transport, like buses and taxis? What are you doing?
First and foremost, I would want to say that whoever we are, wherever we be, the word being safe, I think psychologists can say, depends on anyone who feels they have the need to be safe. I think to us as a security, we have a big problem on our hand, and a challenge to make sure that we make the minds of Ugandans have that mindset of feeling safe. It is really a big challenge, and we want to inform you that we are doing all that is very possible. But like I said, it is a mindset, and we all ought to do what needs to be done to feel safe. Members of the public have a role to play. The security agencies have a role to play. One of the roles we have to play is to detect such acts before they happen. And in many cases, we've done that part. The recent past is the unsuccessful bit of it, that this managed to happen even with us available in the country. So, of course, that comes back to the members of the public. Members of parliament are always saying we give them a big budget and this is happening. But we should also know that acts of terrorism are not only limited to Uganda, which is well facilitated according to members of parliament. Many countries like the UK are also fighting such acts wherever they are. So it comes back to members of the public to also do their part very well. We have tried to divert a lot of threats that are directed towards Ugandans, And I would want to say to a larger extent we've been successful. However, when one bad thing happens, it really washes down all the successes that you've done in the past. So we want to move away from that, beat the dust off ourselves and rise up, inform Ugandans that yes, this has happened, but let us unite, not point fingers at each other, that we have a big budget of security, like they are always saying in Parliament, and like they're always saying, they pay taxes for us to make sure that they are secured. Yes, it is our role to secure them, but the biggest part of our security is played by the public. We have had incidents, whether we have gotten information where suspected terrorists live among us. They rent houses in our communities, and some of these statements are coming out of recent, how some of these members have been behaving while living with the members in the community. Very suspicious characters, but no one could come out and inform the police about these characters. So it comes back to us, and majorly what we are doing to make sure that we secure members of the public is to educate them about some of these things, what to look out for. If you're in Chikubo, because we have, I think, the biggest population in Kampala down there. If you're in Chikubo, what are you supposed to look out for? What are the things that a terrorist might carry? You need to look out for them. Providing numbers, toll-free numbers to members of the public to call whenever such situations are in their faces. And also, many cases we have worked with members of the business community to make sure that they put measures in place, like access control measures while accessing these buildings, making sure that they work with police, liaising with the police in the area. At least we have tried as much as possible to spread out our police posts, our police stations all over the country, and away from giving in a call, you can always approach the police station so that they can always be quick response. So in sharing of information is what we are currently encouraging for members of the public, not to take anything for granted, but to at all times share the information they have so that the police can always respond and avert any situation.
Information sharing, very critical. Yeah, so how do we as citizens now increase our vigilance? Because, like you have said, the other day when the attacks happened in Kampala, you went and followed up and picked someone, part of the cell from Katoke in Nasa now, somewhere there. So these people are renting houses, in our neighborhoods and doing their plans within us. How do we increase our vigilance as citizens?
First and foremost, the best part of it is that we already have systems in place. And these are the LC systems, which are elected leaders, actually. And when you watch the news or some of the people that were being interviewed by journalists, you would hear someone saying that this person never even provided a telephone contact to the landlord. So really, in the era we are living in, someone who doesn't have a phone contact, what kind of person could that be? There are some things that raise red flags, and members of the public need to be conscious about them. So we stay with these people. Someone will come, rent your house. You don't see a bed in the house. You don't see the person, any other person visiting this man, and that does not, if that does not raise any red flag, really, I don't know what you should be on the lookout for. These are people who rarely leave their places. We have got information that they basically don't have any source of income, because what we have gotten to know is that these suicide bombers are people who have been isolated from their families. You will hardly see any family member coming to visit him, and you will only see one person who is probably his handler or someone indoctrinating him into this kind of act, who will always be a man, not even a woman. So All these are signs that we should always be on the lookout for. Someone who's always in the house. It might not be necessarily a crime to do with terrorism, but someone who doesn't work during the day and only gets out of the house in the night or in the evening, really, I think that is reason enough to raise red flags. We are not stopping movement of Ugandans from one place to another. They have choice to move from one place to another, but that place they've moved to should always feel like home, where you see a person being able to freely interact with anyone in the neighborhood. So if people are not free to interact with anyone, that should really raise a red flag. We will not respond that we are arresting this person, but at least we shall have this information, gather more facts about the specific person that has been pointed out, and also follow up to see whether he has any dealings with these kind of terrorists or not.
Yeah, okay. So, most of us cannot afford personal security or deploy a guard at our homes and so forth. What are some of the basics that we can do to secure our office premises, our homes, just improvising?
Uh, 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 I would like to bring in this example. You see, like what happened at CPS. We had removed all unwanted items around the policing area, around the premises of Central Police Station, and we had also made barricades around the police station so that no one can get close to our premises. Of course, the intent, I wouldn't want to zero this kind of attack on government officials or buildings. These attacks are now indiscriminate. The fact that they happen in buses, the fact that they happen at local pork joints, it shows you that these are really indiscriminate. But for our homes where we stay, make sure that you know your neighbor. That is a very important thing. They call it neighborhood watch.
Neighborhood watch.
Neighborhood watch is very important. Knowing your neighbor, knowing the new person that has come in your community, and whenever you call for meetings like a community, and that person never shows up, there should be questions asked. First and foremost, you should always have a very good barricaded door. That is very important. Like most of our officers actually who are injured were majorly injured by our by our glasses, the glasses in the windows, the loose items that were available at around CPS which flew and also injured our officers. Make sure you have a very barricaded door, just in case circumstances like that happen. You're not injured by an item that wasn't part of the bomb. So in many circumstances, we can only advise members of the public to do checkups, especially in our businesses. Checkups. You can either use your hand. We are living in COVID time. Those who can't afford these machines and also walk-throughs, they can always put on gloves and check the person accessing your area, and that of course will in turn help. Many businesses have also come out with policies. We have seen universities also coming out with agreeing on policies that we shouldn't allow access of bags, access of briefcases, or if there is need for it to access the premise, it should also be checked to make sure that it is safe for anyone. But nevertheless, the attacks are random. There's a lot of effort that should be put in by security services. There's also a lot of effort that should be put by members of the public on issues of information sharing, on being on the watch, being on the lookout. Vigilance is very, very important, to be on the lookout of anything peculiar, suspicious. Since the blast happened, we have responded to over 20 incidents, bomb scares. And I think this is a good thing. There's also a journalist who was trying to test the vigilance of members of the public today, dropped a bag, and the public ganged on him and called the officers. We safely removed the bag and he was arrested. So really, such kind of things, it shows that the public is also now very much aware, and we are praying that it remains like that. We should not put our guard down, both on our side as security, but also on the side of the members of the public. The issue of suicide bombing is new. It is not something that has been happening in the country. And I think even in East Africa, it is not something that has been happening even in our neighbors here in Kenya, who have been facing quite a lot of these issues. But nevertheless, we can always be on the lookout of some of the characteristics and inform the police, since it is something new that we are trying to learn on how to avert its threats.
Yeah, so there are two categories of people who I think are innocently aiding some of these things. Innocently, I should add and emphasize.
Yeah.
For example, hardware operators. Somebody comes and buys wires, buys nails, etc. So the hardware operator is selling innocently. He does not know the motive behind, this purchase. And also the border carries this person innocently. They think they are carrying an ordinary passenger, but they are carrying somebody very, has very terrible motives. So borders and the operators of hardware and other people there. What advice do you have for them? Like,
the advice should basically be in line with also some government programs or future government programs, because we have an industry of borders which is not well regulated, where any border person can move to whatever distance they want, they can move to whatever district they want, and carry a passenger from there. So we have this kind of industry which is not well regulated. I think in the future we should look into regulating this business, where border riders move well identified. If they are going to have customers, it should be on a stage. If this is to happen, God forbid, to any border rider carrying a passenger, that stage, we should be able to get information from that stage, where this person came from, how did he look like, from his colleagues, and it can aid in the investigation. Also, maybe some of those points where those borders are, many of them have cameras, so we can always, because they are mostly stationed at junctions, so we can always use those cameras to help us identify some of these suspects, where they came from, how they moved, and all of that. And also, people who sell these things are knowing. It is very hard. We cannot know, especially issues of nails. Maybe issues of fertilizers like ammonium nitrate, and we can easily detect. Why would someone be buying all these quantities of fertilizers? They have a garden here in Kampala. Where are they taking them? Why is someone, because I'm told they can also be used as explosives in the long run. There's a chemical you can mix there and it becomes an explosive. So people who sell chemicals, because I'm very certain this bomb, the magnitude it had and everything, it had quite a good mixture of a certain chemical that is sold either in Uganda or imported. So we should always, the security service, of course, working with other agencies, will always be on the lookout of such people. How much quantity will they be buying? Where are they taking them? Is the person buying this owning a garden? There should be follow-up in people dealing with such dangerous substances. There has always been a debate on why people should limit the sale of acid, but schools use acid, schools use these chemicals. But if an item is bought for a certain type of use, has it met that use, or is someone going to divert the item that has been bought to something else? So I think also our officers need to be also trained to identify, investigate the sale of such items, and if they are sold, there should be a log on who bought, what time was it bought, and everything like that, so that it can aid in the investigation. So receipting is also very important. I see URA is always telling people to receipt items they sell. It is very important because it helps us identify the person that bought and what time they bought the item. So in the meantime, we just need to be vigilant, really. We are not an extremely very developed country, but we are trying to work within our limits of the security budget we have, the officers we have. A few of them are highly trained to deal with such situations. But I think because the training is also very expensive, and I think with time we shall adjust up to that, since we now have a new threat that is amongst us.
Wow, these are very interesting insights. Now, operators of hardwares, please receipt. Keep everyone's contact on the receipt so that you can aid security in case of these things. Also, maybe this is feedback you can take from us now, the citizens. You know, you cannot walk into a pharmacy and buy certain medicines, especially for mental health. Any pharmacy. Pharmacies are money-making ventures. But if you walk into a pharmacy and you want a certain medicine that can influence your brain, usually the pharmacist or the attendant will ask you to produce a letter from the doctor, a recommendation for you to buy this medicine. So I think some of these things like ammonia and so forth, maybe security can devise a way
there should be a regulation
to make sure that before you go to buy into these things, maybe you have some, the LOCs have given you a letter to confirm that you have a farm, or there is a veterinary officer who has endorsed you or something. So you don't just go and buy over the counter and some of these things. So that's feedback you can take now back from us, the citizens.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the issue, there's another issue, and it's very sensitive. The other day, the president released the list of the attackers and so forth. And all the names were Islamic, or appeared to be Arabic or something, of Arabic origin. And this might, cause some conflicts in communities. Now people might start looking at every Muslim, even when they are very innocent, as somebody who is connected to some of these things. So as security, you have to give us assurances and guarantees that yes, Uganda is a country of many religions and tribes, so we must live harmoniously even amidst these things. So we want you advise or comment on that issue.
I think maybe as a country we need to come up, or maybe as a government we need to come out with a plan. If a terrorist is involved in any activity, should they be named or not given a name? That should be something we can all sit down and agree on. I've seen some countries doing that. They don't give terrorists names because we wouldn't want to assume, people to come out and assume this terrorist falls into this kind of religion and all of that. But what is very important is to know that the security services and police in general, when we do our investigations, we don't target a religion, we target a person. That is the most important thing that should be on the back of our minds every day. We target a person, we don't target the religion. Of course, you saw there was a place in Kisenyi, I think that was around 2019, where we had our operation, and these were people who were allegedly Muslim teachers teaching children. We found over 90 children in that premise. And when we were going in there peacefully, someone tried to attack the officers. But remember, these were scholars. And one of our officers was injured by a panga, but they managed to subdue the suspect. But unfortunately for him, he died. So we have been forced in many situations to go to homes of people who are known to be as clerics, not because we are targeting them as Muslims, but as people, because the information we have gathered has led us there. It is unfortunate that, but also the things that are available for us to see. You're here in Uganda, none of us has ever, we've only been hearing ISIL in the news. In Nigeria, recently they just went down here in Mozambique, but they had never gone below. So now we hear rumors that they are claiming they are responsible. And we know they just twist the good words of Islam and just brainwash some of these victims. We know they might not even be Muslims. They might be something else. And they're just taking advantage of this whole situation. The ADF, they already, we know Islam as a very peaceful religion. We've had Muslim friends ever since growing up. Many of us have even family members who are Muslims. So we wouldn't want to be there saying that we are traumatizing a certain type of religion, and people will be on the lookout of this kind of a person. We used to have that kind of stigma when we were attacked in 2010 by Al-Shabaab, and people were always on the lookout of Somali people in Uganda, but also that went away. So I think the public should come back and realize that we are only naming people. We don't attach their religions on the names. We have never done that, attaching their religions on the names. But these are their names. But I think there should be a strategy that maybe if a terrorist is arrested or put out of action or blast themselves, maybe they shouldn't name it. That strategy maybe should be adopted by government, but we don't have that now, and we shall always name them, and that is what most Ugandans don't want.
Yeah, because they have relatives and so forth. So look, what are the main unusual signs around these terrorists? How do I look at someone and I see suspicion in them? And if I do this, where do I run to? If I detect something suspicious, whom do I call? Any standby numbers that I can get to right away?
First and foremost, I will relate to the first one of Komambuga. When you hear the narrations of the eyewitnesses, they were all specific on this kind of person who entered the premises, moved out, moved in again, brought something with him, and then bought everyone beer. Someone you don't know starts buying for everyone. They are practically not drinking, but buying, and later on move out and leave something behind. So that is really already a sign. This is someone who was panicking, I would say. They are always nervous wherever they be. They are always nervous on the lookout of any eventuality, or whether they are being noticed by someone or by security. If they are moving and they see security moving around, they can even try to die. Before they reach their destination, they might even try to branch off or try to escape. And of course, this should be also a warning to our many members in the transport sector, in the border business, in the other areas, that if you find our checkpoint anywhere, because we are not living in good times, that is one thing we need to admit. We are trying to assure our members of the public of the security, and some measures, of course, will be put in place. and you see a police officer standing in front and you want to divert, stop if you're being pursued, because we might station at a certain point where we suspect someone, suspect a terrorist to be passing, and when you see us and you try to divert, yet you know the person we are looking for, and you try to divert, it might raise a lot of questions. The other issue also is that they are always trying to blend in. Someone finds you talking and doesn't know you. He's trying to know what you people are talking about, trying to show you that he knows everything around. They are always trying to show that they even gather information, by the way. You find someone approach you and is asking questions like, how is CPS? Is this person still available? Are you people okay? They will even ask questions that are very relevant to them. How many cameras do you have here? Nganda ba kamera nyingi. Mugezeza. Very, very funny questions. Trying to get information from you, and they will never do an activity before they have such information. They, of course, sweat, because someone who's going to do a suicide attack on anyone, I don't think this is something someone woke up and God told him that for you, you're going to become a suicide bomber. No, it is not something you'll be there and you're like, no, I'll grow up and I become an engineer or something. No, these are things that are learned. These are things that are put in their heads. There are a lot of promises that are given to them by of monetary value, or sometimes even promises. Sometimes they might not even know. There is that suspicion also, by the way, that maybe these three people who are moving with these bombs knew they had bombs, but maybe they were just planning to plant them or something and then move away, and someone maybe detonated them onto them. So there is always that suspicion. We cannot ably come out and conclude that they detonated them themselves. There is always a secondary person monitoring. If they deviate from a plan, it can always be detonated. So we need to be on the lookout of our surroundings, all of us, whenever such. That is why we are always encouraging members of the public that if, I don't know why nowadays we behave like whites, they always say that that kind of character is for whites, where problems are, people want to gather. This is what was happening in Kampala of recent. We are pushing away people, but people want to gather. There is always, in most cases, a secondary blast in such scenarios where terrorists can cause something to divert you. You gather to find out what it is, and then something like that goes off. So members of the public need to be also on the lookout, that when these blasts happen, it doesn't mean this situation has stopped. A bomb can even be there for a week, staged somewhere. That's why we always use the help of the sniffer dogs. There is also this character, most of these characteristics were gotten from Israelis, were officers in intelligence, liars with them because they have faced a lot of threats to do with suicide bombing. And the one that stands out is that they always smell fresh. Someone smells so fresh, a very, very strong perfume, even when even when it is so sunny, they always smell so fresh. There is an idea the Israelis concluded with. They said that that means that they want to go to heaven when they are smelling so nice. when they are before the Creator, they should be, because they know they are going to die. So when you're going to die, you should be ready. Then they will go and start selling off things. If someone has like 10 acres in the village, if someone is not sick, someone is not going anywhere, they are selling, they are giving everyone whatever they want, where they find them. Uh, Generally, detaching themselves away from, they call it uh, uh, property, where this kind of detaching themselves, I've forgotten that term. When you have like cows, when you have like money, and you want, yeah, they're touching them from riches. If you have riches and just want to make sure that you have nothing when you're going. So, and basically they all have different motives. They say some of them pray quietly as they move. Then before they do it, of course, that might be too late. You will yell out a word. There are a lot of characteristics, but of course, these are adaptations from the Israelis. I might not say they might apply many of them here, because maybe our Muslims we have here are different from the Muslims they have there. Our converts, because most of them you find that many of them are converts, by the way. You might find someone who grew up in a religion is not even part of them. You find that someone who was a Christian and has converted, those are the kinds of people they try to put this kind of information that has been distorted and is not in line with the beliefs of Islam. So I wouldn't say, like we have already said, was it in the 1980s in UK, where people, Ireland, is it Ireland? Northern Ireland.
Yeah, Northern Ireland.
Northern Ireland. They were bombing themselves, but these were basically Catholics, and they were doing this kind of thing. So terrorism cannot only be limited to a religion. In Palestine, before Israel became a country, before even the World War, there was a certain group of Israelites who were doing these kinds of things before they were a country. And now they are the good people, they have gotten what they wanted. But these are things that are not only limited to religion. It is just an ideology that has been fed into someone. Unfortunately for us, the suspects we arrest are only identified by Muslim names. And that is the unfortunate bit. But if they had another name, the only name that I've seen that comes to a Christian name is this gentleman of recent who was shot while trying to run away from us, put out of action, Matovu Adam. So Adam, I think, is an adaptation of both, is shared. But it is unfortunate that they have these names. But it is just an ideology. It shouldn't be put against security. It shouldn't be put on the country that we are targeting Muslims. We do know we have a lot of good Muslims in the country, and they are doing very nice things for the country, and also employing many youths in the country. So it shouldn't be the issue. It shouldn't be a debate anywhere. Sure. Yes.
So any numbers you can share with the...
Yes, we have toll-free numbers. You allow me to read them for you?
Yeah, sure, you can read them for the viewers.
Have informed the public that in case of any suspicious behavior or objects, that they should reach out for these two toll-free numbers, 0800 12229. That is 12229. And then 0800 199 699. 0800 199 699. And then we have these other, if you have like free calls on Airtel, MTN, or UTL, we have 0707 600 733, then 0776 999 136. And then we have UTL 0714 667 743 and 0712 667 717. So those are the numbers, and they are, I've seen one of our partners, one of our stakeholders, saying that they got information that there was a blast, and they, before even confirming, they just went on Twitter and started saying there is a blast in Kampala. We receive a lot of calls, but before we come out to inform the public, we first verify. We receive a lot of calls on a daily. Away from the calls, our officers are approached wherever they are. Like I said, we are really spread out and very near to the public, but we first verify this information. We are also calling upon members of the public and stakeholders to inform the police, if possible, and you are available when police is verifying what exactly the item is, you will be informed on what they have really found out. And also our stakeholders, before you put out any information, stakeholders, I mean the media, these other people like today, the Red Cross, please first verify this information, because we are living in, like you started the conversation, these are not very good times.
Yeah.
A lot of people are scared, and we need to give assurances to Ugandans and also the international community and our visitors, because that is the most important thing. You know, Uganda relies most on visitors, and we wouldn't want to have this kind of picture that the situation is really out of control. It is being managed. I wouldn't want, people should always use that kind of language. We are managing the situation, not really saying it is really out of control. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Luke. Before I let you go, one last question. Yeah, the blasts here, and then the victims, and then the victims have families and so forth. So does police have like a psychology unit, like a unit that reaches out to these families and tries to, counsel and support?
Support, yes. Counseling, I wouldn't want to lie to you. It is not something that is, we really need to adopt that. It is something that was adopted, but it is still on a small scale. We need to adopt it and console these members of the victims that have been put in this kind of situation. We try as much as possible to make sure that the information of if you have a deceased person who was the victim during this recent blast, we make sure that the loved ones get to know from us as police. And of course, we have professional people. They might not be trained in counseling, but there is a way you need to convey this news to a person who has lost a loved one, not just telling them George has died. You need to convey it in a way that will not cause also another death to a person, because we have seen such scenarios. There's one of our officers who was investigating a case where a husband stole a child from the mother and hid him somewhere. And he came back to us and told us that he had actually killed the child, but we were not seeing the body. But we tried to investigate until one day the woman wanted to talk to the husband, and the husband just told the wife that I killed our child. The woman just collapsed. We were almost going to have a dead body in our offices. So you need to find a way of putting this news out there That's why we don't always rush to put out names of the deceased persons in the public before then the loved ones communicated to that your person has been involved in this kind of act, and unfortunately they didn't make it in a very professional manner. We might not be having counselors with us, but we have people who are professional in making sure that information is conveyed in a right manner to the partners.
Thank you so much, Luke Oyesigile, Assistant Superintendent of Police, the Deputy Spokesperson, Kampala Metropolitan Police. The conversation continues online. You will have an opportunity to ask your question and you will be answered. So I'm concluding this segment now, and my request to you, the public, is that do not consume fake news. If you receive something, do not press forward on your WhatsApp or retweet before you verify, because if you do that, you're destroying your country. Stick to official government platforms for information, especially the police, Uganda People's Defense Forces, Uganda Media Center, the GCIC, and similar government platforms for verified information and news. My name is Duncan Abigaba. I have been your host. Follow the GCIC Baraza handle at GCIC_Baraza for that. Continued engagement. Thank you so much.